Hey y'all, it's Rick here with Uncommon Communion, and I am recording this evening. Actually, it is early morning because it just turned to 12:01 on Saturday. Yeah, I got watching Severance again. Yeah, I know it was on fresh months ago. I'm a little bit late to the party, but it is quite a party. So, let's begin as we always begin here with realizing that the foundation of all, of everything that we know that exists, that is the presence of God. And let us remember that we are always and everywhere in the holy presence of the more and each other. I'm going to keep this kind of short tonight. I have been the last couple of days like borderline fighting a cold, which is unusual for me. I have been, knock on wood, remarkably healthy for a number of years now. And anytime I get a cold, I treat it with supplements, vitamin C, um, other things, echinacea, and other types of supplements. And it seems like it helps. But I do need to get to bed. It has not been a tough week, but it also has been kind of a draining week in different ways. And it's January, even though my birthday is next week, next Tuesday, it's still January. So I want to share with you the Psalm tonight, and it is Psalm 17, as we are on the 17th of January. Pretty easy to follow along. And I also want to share with you a reading that I came across yesterday. I guess it was actually 2 days ago now, in the Ignatian Daily Reflection Reader that I've shared about here before. And it's a little quote by Pedro Arrupe, who was the director of the Jesuits back in, I think, like the 1960s and 1970s, during obviously a very pivotal time in the church and in the world. And um, by all accounts, he was a really remarkable leader, a very holy man, a mystic. And then toward the end of his life, he was stricken with disease that left him speechless and very helpless. But yet he was able to continue to write and reflect on that experience, or dictate, or communicate his thoughts, writing. And um, and it was very powerful. And he's quite a figure if you're not familiar with him. But he says this. He says, "Nothing is more practical than finding God, than falling in love in a quite absolute final way. What you are in love with, what seizes your imagination, will affect everything. It will decide what will get you out of bed in the morning, what you do with your evenings, how you spend your weekends, what you do with your evenings, how you spend what you read, whom you know, what breaks your heart, and what amazes you with joy and gratitude. Fall in love, stay in love, and it will decide everything." Yeah. And you know what I really, really dig about that is the recognition that it really is all about love, right? I mean, love is the greatest force in the universe among life, right? Attraction, connection, the desire to reproduce, the desire to sacrifice for the good of another, altruism and kindness and empathy, all of those things that are really what make us human, and really what make us sentient beings. And really, I just think beings in creation. And, I think what we are reminded of is, as Arupe says here, whatever we love shapes everything about our life, right? It shapes how we live and move and act, and how we purchase, and the people we vote for, the candidates and the ideas and the movements that we support. I am continually struck by the Christian nationalists, who I call hippo-Christians or Christians in quotation marks, right? How they seem to miss this so dramatically. And I know it comes from an image and experience, a sense of God that isn't mercy, that is justice and judging, and that it's about rules and heaven and hell and salvation. And, so that's at the foundation of that mindset. But it also is so completely um, inundated with scapegoating, blaming others, right? And a sense of supremacy, white supremacy in particular, with the Christian nationalists. But I just wonder how they miss this, and it just boggles my mind. And I wonder how they can continue to support, and in many accounts, it seems kind of gleefully support the violence and the insanity and the fascism that we see increasing in our country, even just over these last 16 days, right? And I don't get it. I don't get it, except to know that within all of us, there is a desire for retribution. There is a desire for Schadenfreude, I'm not pronouncing that right, seeing others suffer, right? And that when we are not connected, grounded, when we do not see and experience love, we we fall into that, and just as individuals can fall into that sort of cruelty, selfish victimhood and blaming others, victimizing others, right? When we fall into that individually, we end up with others, and it becomes communities, and it becomes churches, and it becomes political movements, and it becomes all of that. And it also is easy to be controlled by other forces. I think that's something that we have to continue to remember, that it is about the billionaires. It is about the oligarchs. It is about the people that control how those who are already angry, already scared, already feeling a sense of loss of their privilege and their power. And I'm talking about the white men in this country, many of the white men, you know, um, and being able to manipulate that and mold that to distract them from the real issue, which is an economic issue, which is what capitalism does, and what what we're seeing, where the rich are obscenely wealthy, and the divide between the rich and everyone else, the super rich and everyone else, is increasing. Yeah, there's a lot going on, very much so. And we have prayer and we have scripture to guide us and to help us. So let's read here briefly Psalm 17. It's a little bit longer than some of the other ones that we've read. I'm going to change to grandmother as I'm going to keep it. Actually, I'm going to keep it as grandfather, because I think in this, especially the vindication, this idea of retribution that the psalmist is calling upon, it is such a male thing. I mean, it would be really absurd in many ways to call upon a female image or grandmother to be, to offer retributive justice. I mean, it just doesn't work, right? So I think there's something here, right, about seeing God in this grandfather male, arrows and slings kind of way. And this idea of seeking, of praying for, hoping that one's enemies will get what's coming to them, So Psalm 17, Grandfather, hear me as I cry out to you for justice. Turn your ear to me and listen closely, for my prayer comes from lips free from deceit. It is from you that wrongs will be made right again. So let your eyes see my hunger for justice. You have put my heart to a fiery test both day and night, and have found no shadow of a bad heart or lying tongue. Though some have tried to tempt me to do their dark deeds, for them. Your words have kept me from following that violent path. With firm steps, I have followed the way you have set before me. My feet have never slipped. I have called out to you, Creator. I know you will answer me. Turn your ear to me and listen closely when I send my voice to you. Show me the wonders of your faithful and true love. For the one who sets us free, have the power. For you, the one who sets us free, have the power to rescue the ones who take shelter under your strong arm. Watch over me in the same way a father watches over his youngest daughter. Hide me under the shadow of your wings from those with dark hearts who would harm me, from bloodthirsty enemies who surround me. Their hearts have grown cold. They feel no pity for their victims. Boastful words spew like venom from their mouths. They have tracked us down and encircled us for the kill. They watch for the right moment to pounce on us and hurl us to the ground. They are like mountain lions, hungry to bite and tear their prey. Like a young mountain lion hiding in the bushes, they are ready to strike. Rise up, grandfather. Stand up against my enemies. Throw them to the ground. Take your bow and rescue me from these evildoers. Use your strong arm, grandfather, to set the world free from those who live only for themselves. But for the ones you treasure, fill their bellies from your food basket with enough for their children and grandchildren. In the end, I know your right ways. I will know your right ways when I see your face. I will be satisfied when I awake to see you as you truly are. Yeah, a couple of things stand out to me here. One is the psalmist has a pretty high sense of himself. He says numerous times, I've done everything right. Everything is perfect. Yeah, that's not true, right? I mean, really, come on, you know? So it seems like he has some deception and some blindness going on within him. And perhaps that is where this anger at wanting to have God strike his enemies, right? That somehow they deserve it and he deserves to have the justice, right? And I think we all know it's more complicated than that. And I think also I hear in this that he wants God to do to those who are hiding and the mountain lions ready to bite. He wants God to do to them what they are doing to others, right? And that's no solution. It's not, right? I mean, Gandhi was the one who said, and it's such a wise and true thought, an eye for an eye makes the whole world blind, right? And I think, again, as we see this rising cruelty and violence and insanity, we who are about love, we who are seeking a more harmonious and life-giving, inclusive, welcoming, and so forth, all of that, we have to respond in a way that isn't about smiting those who we perceive as our enemies. It's hard. You have to stand up with courage. You have to look them in the eye. Sometimes we do need to say hard things, but we can't strike. We can't be violent back because that's what they want. And that's maybe what we want against them, but it only leads to a worse place. So we close with a longer one than I expected. But let us remember, again, those who are standing up, those in Minneapolis, those who are being traumatized. Every day it's new stories and fresh injustice. And let us just hope that they know that God is with them. Pray for the courage for those tomorrow, again, around the country that will be marching and standing up. Tuesday for the walkout that is coming up. And may we all continue to hold fast, to be strong, to be brave, to consider boycotts and walkouts and all of those things that we are being pushed to do. All right, y'all. Serenity prayer time. God grant us the serenity to accept the things we cannot change, the courage to change the things we can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Thy will, not ours, be done. Amen. All right, y'all. Thanks. Happy Saturday and blessing and good. Be well. Hold fast, y'all.